Okay. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yep.
great.
You can see the
Great,
screen.
great. And I just pushed the new curriculum. So let's take a look and see if it's up there. So we'll go to mfpbootcamp.mybluemix.net, and there should be 2 more modules up there now. Oh, looky there. Okay. So what I've done is we've got somebody's got a hot mic. We've got 4 modules here, and the first 2 we've already done. In these next 2, I've modeled them after the first 2, and some of the information is redundant. But what I want to be able to do is to have someone just jump to a single module and it just work. So in other words, some tutorials on the internet, they build on each other. So you have to visit every single tutorial in order to build the final piece. But in this case, each module is kind of standalone. So, but what I did for now anyway is I repeated some of the information. Okay. But what I thought we would do tonight is we'll probably go a little bit faster. And the first hour I want to cover modules 2A and 2B. And then the second hour we're going to do a lab. And so based on what we've learned so far with all 4 of these modules, we're going to put our new knowledge to work. And you all are going to work as teams to develop the project further, okay? So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into Module 2A. So obviously you can go out there and follow along in your browser to mfpbootcamp.mybluemix.net. I will paste that to the chat. And then go ahead and go to Module 2A. So you can see it has the same format as the other ones. Tonight, we're going to focus on further developing our adapter. So yesterday, we created an adapter, and we also created a Bluemix web service, and we tested each of those separately. Tonight, we're going to bring them together. Okay. So that's what tonight is all about. So I'm really not going to go over the environment setup because that is the same, pretty much the same page to set up the MobileFirst. Okay. So hopefully everybody got to do that. Actually, I want to ask Deval. Deval, were you able to set up MobileFirst? I think you were the only one that ran out of time yesterday.
Yeah, actually I just missed yesterday the Bluemix part particularly. Other than that, most of the things I followed and it went pretty well.
Okay, so did you get Bluemix set up?
I had already set up Bluemix, Sean. Like.
Oh, that's right. That's right. What about MobileFirst?
MobileFirst, I tried a few things, but I'm sorry, really sorry. I recorded those sessions. I will do it later because I am kind of busy with the clients right now.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Sorry to put you on the spot. Okay.
No.
But I totally understand with being busy with clients. That's a good thing, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing. Okay.
Yep.
So HTTP adapter. So this first part is identical to before. What we're going to do is we're going to modify this adapter, and this time we're going to connect it to this HTTP web service. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So I put a note here. If you've already created the MFP Bootcamp in Module 1, you can skip to Step 3. So these
I
first
cannot
couple of
record
steps.
today. I'm not sure it's something wrong with my link or it's like yesterday I was getting the option for recording, but today I can't. So is someone recording right today's session?
Yes, yeah. Mary is recording.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys hear that last thing? Just skip to step 3. Okay, cool. So what we're going to do first is we've got to set up this adapter resource. So just to remind you to go back to the code, let me get out of this view. In our code, we have this API adapter. And the API adapter has an application and it has a resource. Really, all the heavy lifting is done in the resource. The application is a wrapper just to set up the life cycle of the adapter, but the resource is really what does the work, okay? And we found yesterday that if we used MobileFirst to generate the adapter, they put some pretty nice scaffolding in there that just shows you how it works, and I thought it was really good. And we actually used it just out of the box. We didn't change it. But tonight, we're going to actually make it do something. And what we're going to do, and in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow away my project. That's like my signature move. Start the boot camp and then delete everything. You guys like that? So I'm going to delete my project here. This is like stunt coding.
Development from scratch again.
Okay. So now I have nothing. I have this thing right here. Okay. So now we are one. We are together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can do this quickly. Create my MobileFirst project. One of the reasons I wanted to do this is I actually finished the lab too, so I didn't want you guys to see my lab code. Okay, so I got my project. Now I'm going to add my adapter. And I think that does everything. And then there's a couple different ways to get this deployed. One is to open the console, which is what we did yesterday. But I found that after yesterday, I stopped doing that, and I would click this server tab, and I would just right-click this and start the server. So opening the console will start the server and open the console, or you can just start the server here. Okay. So that'll start the server, and now I'm started, and then now I can just go ahead and deploy my adapter. So this is just all review from yesterday. Deploy MobileFirst adapter. And if all goes well, we should be good to go. Okay. Now, go to Postman and users, invalid token, that's normal. get a token, copy it, go back to users, insert the token into the header, and voila. So we're back to where we started from scratch, and we're actually back to where we were yesterday. Okay? Now, let's go back to the code. So I'm going to open the resource file here. And if you double click this tab, it'll make that just take up the whole screen, which I prefer, at least for coding. And they've got some good examples in here, but when we get on clients like Volkswagen, we're going to have to create a REST API in the adapter that hits a backend service. And if you follow the REST model or architecture, if you wanted to get all users, it would be some path / users. And if you wanted to get a single user, it would be some path / users / and then some way of identifying a single user, okay, or a group of users. So if we look through the methods that they have a method here that actually models that. Users, username, but obviously, you know, it has no back-end data, so they just mock something up here. And they set the path of this whole API to be users, okay? One question I have is, what is the better approach? Is the better approach to create a single adapter that has routes for many models, or have an adapter for each model? So we'll actually start out with just making this adapter be for a single model. And the model that we're interested in for companies like Volkswagen is vehicles. So obviously, VW is a vehicle manufacturer. They probably have an enterprise web service where you can look up vehicles, possibly by VIN numbers. And does everybody know what a VIN number is? It's an acronym for Vehicle Identification Number. Actually, I think it's on your dash. It's either right on your dashboard or when you open the door is your vehicle identification number. But that would be one convenient way of looking up vehicles. So our task would be, let's create an API where we can select all vehicles or a single vehicle. So we can kind of look through here and see how that's done. They have a get path here. That's kind of the default path. Just if we do users, and we saw that one. And then if we do a username, it'll give us that name back. Okay, so that's exactly what we want to set up, except we want that to be for vehicles, and we want it to hit our backend API. So this code is not going to work. And also the imports are not going to work either, because based on what we're going to be writing, we're going to have to change our imports. So I've already gone ahead and done that. And if you look at the tutorial, what we're going to do first is we're going to replace our imports with these. I'm sure you could do that. Like you could code it and realize, oh, I need to import this other thing. Eclipse makes that very easy because you can ask it to import it for you. So I'm just saving you the trouble of that. So let's go ahead and get rid of all these imports and then replace them with the ones that I've provided. Okay? That's step one. Now, one thing that's cool is, it's kind of cool, once you save, if your server's running and you don't do anything to your settings for MobileFirst Studio, When you save the adapter, it'll try to build it and deploy it. Now, obviously, right now my build failed, but I did find that useful when I was developing this. So let's go ahead and look at the code now. You go back out there to the tutorial. We're just going to paste this whole thing, and then we'll go through it line by line together so I can explain what's going on. So just grab this whole class definition and paste that into your code, starting from, in my case, it's line 32. So we're just going to grab all this code, and we're just going to replace it. And don't worry, you're going to get a chance to do some coding of your own. So, okay. So it looks like that mostly worked. And I missed an import. So I missed this WL Server API provider import. So let's see if that fixes that. Okay. Actually, there was two. There was two imports there that I missed. Okay, that worked. You know what? I'm going to change that. There's these two here. I won't push this, but I just wanted to capture that. Okay. So with that, we have our imports and we have our code. Let's go through this code together. We're not really using Logger very well yet, and we're not using the Worklight API, but I want to keep those out there because we might use those. I added an init method because we declared a couple of variables here, host and client, as static. And so we needed a way to reuse these classes or these static variable declarations. So we needed to add an init method to initialize them. This is the setup to be able to make our second call. So somebody comes into our adapter, and now we need to make a second call to a backend REST API. So we need to use these HTTP hosts, which is brought to us courtesy of Apache, and this closable HTTP client, which also is an Apache class. So we need to declare them on lines 40 and 45, and we also need to initialize them on 48 and 49. Now, this host name, I realize, is not going to work for you. I'm not sure if we can use localhost there, but I believe that's my IP address. Yeah, that's my IP address. So you're definitely going to have to change that. See if localhost will work for you. I think I was having some problems, and so I changed it to this. But this is actually our Bluemix Node.js app. Okay. So you may have to play around with that a little bit, but either use your IP address or see if localhost works. I don't think I got localhost to work, so I had to use my IP address. But that's not going to work for you, so definitely you're going to have to change that. Okay? So that's one method that I added to initialize those classes. And then let's skip over this execute method and skip down to line 72. Here, we're using JAX RS to use annotations to define a route. This is the default route. So it's a get route. One change from yesterday is this produces. So we want to produce application JSON. And the signature is slightly different than the signature from yesterday. We're going to, the context is going to be this HTTP servlet response. So that gets passed in. And we throw some exceptions. I don't think we need the SACS exception anymore. So help me with that. The reason that was there is because this, I got this originally from an XML. It was producing XML. So I think we can probably get rid of that, but it's not hurting anything right now, so I left it in there. Okay. Now, what does it actually do? So remember, we've already set up the client and the host. So if someone comes into this default route, which I'm calling the method getAllVehicles, we need to call our secondary enterprise REST API to get the vehicle list. So what we do is we instantiate an HTTP GET request, and we call the constructor with the route that we want, and we add any particulars to the header. In this case, the fact that we want to accept application/JSON, and then we call our execute method, and we pass the request and the response context. Okay. So now let's jump back up to the execute method. Line 52, the execute method accepts the request and the response and throws these exceptions. What it does is it creates its own HTTP response by calling client.execute, passing in the host and the request. Once that happens, we open an output stream on the response. So this should be, if all goes well, this should be the response coming from our Bluemix backend server. We check our status to make sure it's okay, and then we add our header. We convert the response to a string and set that equal to our JSON variable, and then we write out our JSON payload that we got from our Bluemix backend. Otherwise, we say, hey, things didn't go well, and we throw an error. We flush and close, and that's execute. Okay, so that's a reusable function. Now, finally, jumping down here to this last method. It also is a get method, produces JSON, but the path takes a parameter, which is the VIN number, the vehicle identification number. And we call the method getVehicle versus getVehicles because this will get a single vehicle. One of the things we use, and I think we saw this yesterday, was a path parameter. So now it converts this path parameter VIN into a Java variable VIN. And now we can use that in our method. So right now the interface to our backend web service is a query pairs, query parameters. So we're going to call our REST vehicle list, and we're going to pass it the query parameter VIN equals VIN. And same deal, we're going to accept application JSON as a part of the header, and then we'll call the same execute method. So these are the two methods that I created to emulate getting a vehicle. Now, we can actually run this. I think I've already deployed the adapter, and with the service as is from yesterday, this first route's going to work. So make sure that your Node.js application is running, and it's listening on port 3000. So this is the Bluemix application we created yesterday's session. So as long as that's running, the default route should work. I mean, not the default, but just the vehicle's route should work. So if you call localhost 10080 MFP Bootcamp adapters, API vehicle, it should return all of our stuff. And mine doesn't, for some reason. Let me make sure my server's started. So it looks like my server is good. Oh, I did deploy the adapter was deploying. Oh, okay. Forgot, I should probably go back to the tutorial and make sure I did everything, which I didn't. So going back to the tutorial, I went through the code. So this was the number 4 implement code. And then remember though, one of the things I implemented was this init method. Well, it would be helpful if I actually called the init method, which I haven't yet. And it's because I didn't keep reading. So number 4, wait, do I have 2 4s here? Oh, I got 2 4s. I'll fix that in a second. So the second number 4 is you need to add the call to the resources init method in the API adapter application. Okay, so this code right here. We have to go over to the other class and add that in. And you're going to want to put that in your init method of your application class. And because I have my server running, by saving it, it built and deployed. Now I can go to Postman and test it. Okay, let me make sure I didn't miss anything. So I call the init method. Huh, looks good to me. Does anybody have this working yet? Ah, I see. It's really strange.
Yeah, it looks like you have an extra /API in your URL.
Ah, okay, that's a hint. That's a hint, by the way. Okay, thank you, though. That did fix it. I appreciate it. Just put that in the back of your head, though, because you may need that later. Okay. I'm actually going to turn this thing off. Okay. So there we go. Now we have our vehicles. And this is cool because we didn't have this working last night. We weren't able to go to our MobileFirst adapter to get to our enterprise backend. And now we can. Now, if we try the other and actually pick one of these VIN numbers, and then send, mine's going to work only because I've done the second part of the module, but yours probably will not work. My guess is you either get an error or something other than what I get. Okay? And that's because we need to make a change on the API on the back end, the Bluemix API. But at a minimum, this should work. Does everybody have that part working, the API adapter vehicles route? Okay, Krishna says yes, good. Krishna's going for the star student of the night. So has anybody else got it working? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, is your adapter building, but not deploying?
Yeah, that's what I think's going on. Again, that's just the error it gave me. I got to try it again here, and I'm not worried at this point.
Okay, check and make sure your server is started, your MobileFirst server.
Yeah, I think it might have been that I was deploying before the server was fully up. It's my current guess.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you want me to give you a few more minutes to get this going, or do you want me to keep pressing on? GDC, how you guys doing?
No, we still have some department issue. We are trying to figure out a moment.
Okay, good. This is actually good because this is how you learn, and last night was more of a lecture, but tonight's going to be more of a lab. So, but certainly let me know if I can help at all. And just do me a favor, if you either are stuck or have it working, please ping me on link. Okay. Let's see what we got. Oh, good job, Charles. Got it working. That's good. And Charles, can you confirm that the vehicles route works, but the second one doesn't?
That's correct. Yeah. If I call the second one, the REST services returning the vehicles is not identifying the URI param.
Okay, cool. And that's to be expected because our back end is not listening for that.
Yeah.
Hey, Charles, I'll give you a little bonus work if you want. Maybe we should know how to turn off this this authorization token. For testing, it'd be kind of handy for that to be turned off.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a project thing or... Okay, I got something here, Charles. According to this Stack Overflow, this person is saying that you can disable the security in your procedure code by adding a annotation, all security enabled equals false. And that would be in my adapter resource. And then the second is what we have already done, which is you can generate the token. But I'm going to try this OAuth security enabled equals false. Now I wonder if that would go right on top of the class. Let's see. I think they had a link in here.
Works on my box. Yeah. So if you put that on the class,
okay,
then it's working on mine. I took my header off and it's allowed.
Okay, cool. Let me try that. Looks like that needed an import too.
Yep.
Okay. Yep, perfect. Okay, so let's see here. Yep, that works, doesn't it?
Yep. At least it works on my box.
Yeah, it works on mine too. Okay, so that's if you want to have the ease of not having to worry about the token. Charles and I have confirmed that if you put this OAuth security to enabled equals false just above your class, it will, and you got to do the import of the OAuth security class, but I'll put this in the chat. That appears to fix that. Well, it's not necessarily a fix because at some point we want security, but probably not for testing. So, okay. So Charles has it working. Krishna, Richard's on the path. Anybody else got it working so far? And if not, what problems are you having?
Yeah, mine's working as well, Sean. Of course, with your code.
Who's that? Who got it working?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good news. Anybody else? GDC, how are you doing?
I still have the department issue. Yeah.
What is the issue? Can you paste the error?
Okay, a moment. It's just a building.
Here, I can give you the stage if you want to share your screen. Do you want to do that?
A moment. It's still building. It's lag.
Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you what, keep working on that. If I can help you or if you want to share your screen, let me know. Richard, same for you. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to continue on because I want to finish this first block before 8 o'clock my time so that we can take a quick break and then actually before the break I'll give you your assignment. And then,
okay.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. There's your thing. Okay, so now we're looking at.
This is mine. This is Rich's.
Oh, this is.
Hey,
Rich?
Sean.
Okay.
Yeah. So this IP address here, that was my IP address yesterday. I have a new IP address today. I'm not clear, or at least for expediency, if this is from Node.js or something still left over on the configuration for what we got running inside of MobileFirst here.
Okay, yeah, good point. I forgot about that. I mentioned it, but I forgot about it. Can you open that command terminal, that C prompt down there? And then just type ipconfig. Oh, well, open a new, well, that's cool. Yeah, you can do that. And then see if you can find your IP address.
Yeah, so this should be it here, 1080.32. And so I'd put that into over here, use that here. But again, I still have it, the old one, my yesterday's IP address showing up here.
Okay, can you go ahead and run the Node.js application in your terminal? And then do me a favor and open Postman and see if you can just hit that server.
What would it be?
It'd be 3000. You should have it in your saved, or
yeah, the only thing. Yeah, you're right. Except the IP address changed.
Right.
Oh, I don't think I got that working yesterday. I did
Oh, you
get it
didn't?
working
Okay.
later.
So I'll tell you what it is. It's hold on. So if you want to hit that, but it only gives you so much history, doesn't it?
It'd be for the Node.js.
Yeah.
/rest/vehicle/list.
All right, so that comes up.
Okay, so that IP address is correct, and that port and everything is correct for Node.js.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So if you've got that IP address in there, if you go ahead and select your application, then go up to the top and in the project dropdown.
In here?
Yes.
Oh, you didn't go here. Okay.
Up top, very up top. So if you got the project selected, across your top menu.
Up here? This project.
Project into a clean. That's fine. Essentially what that does is that removes all the class files and then rebuilds all the Java, just in case there's something that's lingering.
Okay.
The old one in there. And then go ahead and save the file that you're currently on. It looks like it's not saved. It has an asterisk next to it.
Yep.
It's getting deployed. The IP address it got deployed to is matching the IP address that you put in. As you can see from the log files, it has your current IP address that it's getting deployed to.
Yep.
So that should match.
Okay, let's try this. There we go. Excellent. Thank you.
Now, you were probably heads down on that, Richard. Did you want to turn off your security? You know, because it's a.
I heard you guys talking about that, and you said it was in the script.
Yeah, I put it in the chat window and link.
Where did you say this needs to go?
That needs to go in the resource class, the API adapter resource. It's under the adapter, under the API adapter.
It's under the, source.
Yeah, there you go. And in the resource class, API adapter resource, right there. Yeah. Not that one. Not the XML.
I'm sorry. I see. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then at the very top, well, not the very top, but at the class declaration.
Decorating the class.
So right there. Just paste it right there. And then there's an import you're going to need. Okay, cool. And now if you just save that guy, that should, and if you notice when you save it, it builds and deploys it for you. So you're already good to go.
Cool.
And so now you should be able to delete your token.
How do I delete a token?
There's an X to the right.
Okay, it shows up.
And then let's see if it'll take it.
Yep, pretty.
Okay, cool. So that'll just alleviate that annoyance, at least during development.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
All right, anybody else want to share their screen? See, that was painless. Okay. So just let me know. That was great, Richard. Thanks for sharing, and that was a good collaboration. So let me take control back from you. And let me go to the second part of this, of tonight's. Well, it's not the second lab, but it's the. Well, I guess it is. Yeah, it is. If you go to Module 2B, that's going to be the same setup for Bluemix, but I made a change to the code. So a lot of this is going to be the same. You probably already have the folder. You already have the package.json. You've already installed your packages. You already have the application. None of that changed. The only thing you're going to need to change is you're going to make a few changes to the restroutes.js. Right now I have this as a query parameter. I actually want to fix that, but it's okay for now. So you're going to need to, you can really just copy this whole code and paste it in there, but I'll highlight the changes for you. One thing is we grab the VIN number from the query parameters and we pass that into the getVehicles method. And in the getVehicles method, we still have this array that we create, but then at the end I have an if block, and the if block says, hey, as long as the vehicle, or sorry, the VIN is not null and has some length, we're going to create a new array called filtered vehicles, and we're going to iterate through that, and if the VINs match, we're going to push them onto the vehicle, and then we're going to set vehicles equal to the filtered vehicles and then return vehicles. Okay, so this little piece of code here is going to be our filter for now. And then, of course, you just rerun the application. If you make those changes, the second REST service will all of a sudden work. The one where from the adapter, you pass in the VIN as part of the path. So if you make that just real small change to your Bluemix API, you'll have a nice little API. And of course, you can hit that using the adapter, which is simulating, a public-facing API, almost like a mobile facade. And then, or you can hit the backend API.
Sean, this is Krishna.
Yes, sir.
This might be trivial, but I just want to know how I stop the Express that's running on one of the ports so I can refire it again.
So I'm on a Mac. I just press Control-C.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm on the Mac too, and I tried pressing Control-C, but it somehow just doesn't work as expected.
Oh, do you want to share your screen?
Just a second.
Yeah, that should work. I'm not sure why that wouldn't work. Are you running it from terminal? I mean, worst case, you can close the terminal and reopen it, but it really should just be able to Control C to get out of it. I think that's what Richard did on Windows as well.
Yeah, for Windows, it was just Control C, interrupted
Yeah.
it.
Okay, Krishna, we can see your screen. Okay, yeah. Sometimes this happens when there's another one running. One thing I see that's different is you're running the node application under root. But one thing you can do is, let's see if we have some stray processes out there. So do a PS, so Papa Sierra, space dash EF, Echo Foxtrot, pipe, the pipe symbol. No. The pipe symbol, the bar, the straight up and down, there you go. egrep space node. Enter. Okay, so it looks like we have a couple other ones running out there, but that's okay. We can kill them. So I'm going to assume that those are running as root. So the command would be sudo kill space -9 space, and then it looks like the process ID for the first one is 34794. 34794. Go ahead and press enter on that, and then do that egrep again to see if that killed it. Okay, and then the second one is sudo kill space -9 34805. Okay, and then now you should be able to run your node application. There you go. I'm curious why you're running it as root. Is there a reason you're running it as root, or? You're on mute, Krishna.
Oh, yesterday while I was installing Node.js, I might have installed it as root user, so it kept cascading from there. I never had the time to change it back. So.
Okay, no worries. Okay, so you should be good to go now.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to share their screen? We've had 2 takers, and they survived. So. All right. So it sounds like everybody is getting that working. We've authored our routes in MobileFirst. We've made some changes back on our back end. We've connected them up, and we seem to have good communication through and through. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to tell you what your assignment is, okay? So what we have right now is we have a class, a pair of classes, API Adapter Application and API Adapter Resource. I named it API Adapter only because my thinking was we would have a single adapter that would handle all the paths. So let's say that the requirement or the user story is, I want to look up a dealership or I want to see, a list of dealerships. And then another user story might be, I want to see a list of vehicles, or I want to look up a single vehicle. So let's say that we had 2 user stories that we needed to fulfill. Okay. My thought was, let's create a single adapter that has all those, that fulfills all those user stories. But the way I've designed this, it doesn't. It's just for vehicles. So your task is to modify this class and make it to where you have 4 routes, not just 2. So right now we have 2 routes. We have one that gets all vehicles, and we have one that gets a single vehicle. So I want to keep those 2, but I also want to add routes for dealerships, get all dealerships and get vehicles. So in order to do that, you're going to need to change the way this class works just a little bit. You're going to need to add those 2 routes, and you're going to need to go out to the back end and create the API service that provides those that data and that filter. Okay. So that's your assignment. So you have your assignment. It's 8 o'clock. Any questions about either the lab so far tonight or the assignment?
Sean, you were kind of breaking up on the assignment. The voice was breaking up. Could you please repeat the assignment, please?
Yeah. Matter of fact, last night I was on my phone, and tonight I tried to use Link, but let me connect on my phone.
Hey, Sean, you still there?
Yeah.
I mean, for me, the audio was fine the whole time, so it might be more the recipient's end for the bandwidth.
Oh, really? Okay. Charles, did you hear me leaving Charlie the whole time, or was I breaking up?
Heard you pretty well. Probably just go over, kind of hit the high points of what the assignments are. And if you want, I don't know if during the break if you're planning on doing anything, but if we just bring up a quick notepad and type out the high points of the assignment, and then that way people can refer back to it.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. So I'll do that. I'll go ahead and type out the assignment, and I'll probably just put it up there on the lab, and we'll get started. So let's go ahead and take a break. Let's take about a 7-minute break. It's 3 minutes past the hour. Let's come back at 10 minutes past the hour.